So what are we doing here, Sherry?
Oh, we are playing a sold-out show at Laguna Woods Village at a beach, California.
Awesome. And what is this band called?
This is the Papas Mommas, and we will be performing our new show. It's a live rockumentary called Soundtrack to the 60s.
Awesome.
Take the last train to Clarksville and I'll meet you at the station. Then be here by 4:30 'cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. Oh no no no. Oh no no no. 'Cause I'm leaving in the morning and I must see you again. We'll have one more night together till the morning brings my train and I must go. Oh no no no, oh no no no, and I don't know if I'll ever come in.
Y'all ready for a little dancing in the street?
Calling out around the world, are you ready for a brand new beat? Summer's here and the time is right for dancing in the streets. They're dancing in Chicago, down in New Orleans, up in New York City. Everywhere there's music, sweet music, there'll be music everywhere. They'll be swinging, swaying, and records playing, and dancing in the street. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. So come on, every guy, grab a girl, everywhere around the world we'll be dancing, dancing in the street.
Hey, we're out here today with Sherry and we're talking about the show. So Sherry, tell me, how did you get the band started?
Well, it was 2007, and I was living in Richmond, Virginia, and a friend of mine who was sitting on my back porch turns to me and says, you should play Mama Cass. So I thought about it, and it just kind of snowballed from there, and in 2008 I put an ad on Craigslist and I met Mike Butler, who turned out to be my Denny Doherty. And shortly thereafter, I flew out to Las Vegas to meet him personally. And while I was there, Natalie answered our other ad. And so we filled our Michelle. And the next thing you know, we had a Papa John and we're on stage and we're going to Spain. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Well, that's awesome. I understand that you made a pilgrimage actually out to Los Angeles to visit Cass. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. Before we ever went on stage, I kind of wanted to get Cass's okay, and so I went to her grave and visited with her for an afternoon. I brought flowers. I made sure everything was really nice for her. Just kind of told her what we were doing, and the vibe that I felt was that she was very honored and that it was the green light. So.
That's great. Well, I think you definitely capture the spirit of Cass during the show.
Thank you very much.
Feels that way. What's your favorite part about the show?
My favorite part about the show is being on stage with my friends and my brother. The camaraderie that I feel when we're on stage and we're sharing energy fields. There's nothing that could ever match anything like that. It's such an incredible high, and to feel the love. People really love this music, and they really send us back such positive vibes and such love. You can just feel it, and it becomes very addictive.
The show is a little bit different from, say, a typical tribute show, where people will focus on the songs of one band. we kind of cast a wider net in the 60s. Now, I wonder if you could tell us about the idea, coming up with the idea to do that.
Oh, definitely. You know, the Mamas and Papas were extremely popular during their time, but they didn't have a whole lot of what they call top 40 hits. And unless you're just a really, really dedicated fan, there's a lot of their music that people don't know. And that, in conjunction with people just coming up and asking us, hey, can you sing White Rabbit, or I bet you could really do a great Janis Joplin, and it kind of got us to thinking. It's like people are really craving this music again, and so let's give it to them, and we'll give it to them as the Mamas and Papas would today if they were here.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, it's a great idea, and it's an awesome show, and it's just a privilege to be a part of it with you.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to have you.
You thought you found your answer on the magic carpet ride last night, but when you wake up in the morning, the world still gets you uptight. Well, there's nothing that you ain't tried to fill the emptiness inside. But when you come back down, girl, you still ain't feeling right. And don't it seem like kicks just keep getting harder to find, and all your kicks ain't bringing you peace of mind. Before you find out it's too late, girl, you better get straight. Oh, but not with kicks. You just need help, girl.
I sat down to talk about the show with Mike at his home near Las Vegas, Nevada, where the sound of leaf blowers fills the spring air.
So we started thinking, what can we do to get a longer show? And one of the things we came up with was, why don't we do other hits from the 60s, especially harmony type songs from the 60s, which, as you know, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
So we kind of started kicking that around.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what was really difficult was trying to come up with what songs for the 60s time frame to include in the show.
What I find interesting about your set list is that it's not totally the typical 60s sort of thing. For example, you guys, you don't do any Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
And aside from maybe one song, you don't really do Janis.
Yeah.
But you find some interesting things, and one of the things that I've noticed, in, being privileged to sit with you on the stage, sort of as your MC, and looking out at the audience and how they react, is there's not a song that you do that somebody's eyes don't light up at. You
Yeah.
go, oh, that's one of my favorites.
Well, that's the one thing I just absolutely love about these songs from the 60s, is because people just love them. They just, I don't know if it brings back good memories for the audience, or it's just the feel-good nature of these songs, but when you're singing and I'm looking out at the crowd, it's just, it just gives you goosebumps.
It does.
And one of the
It's a
problems
great
we had
experience.
was really coming up with the set list and the title for the show. So we were sat back, and one night Sherry was here at the house, and we were flipping the channel around, and on comes Forrest Gump. And we watched the show, and I'm like, I'd like to have a DVD of that. So I went to Amazon and was just kind of looking through the reviews, and time after time people would say, I love the soundtrack to that show. It's like the soundtrack to the 60s. And that's kind of how we came up with the name of the show. And a lot of the songs that are in that, you talked about what songs to pick that we ended up picking. We did a lot from that soundtrack, and that's how we came up with the name Soundtrack to the 60s. And we purposely didn't include a lot of the 60 artists that are overdone. We only do a couple Beatles. You have to do the Beatles.
Yeah.
But the Jimi Hendrix is overdone a lot. What you don't see is some of the songs that we do from like the Zombies and the Turtles. You rarely see shows that have any material from those two bands.
Well, you've really done your research. Well, thanks for talking about that, Mike. That's all very interesting, and it's a really great show. It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Yeah, it is.